So let's say theoretically, you've got some good rackets going on, done some illegal gun running, trafficked some drugs, robbed a few banks or jewelry stores, done some insider trading. The point is, you're a professional criminal who's only loyal to one thing, the holy dollar. You've got some illegal businesses on your hands that are doing really well, and now you're literally drowning in cash. Great, right? Wrong. Here's the problem. Unless you can show that all that illegal money came from a legitimate source like a regular business, for example, then you and all the dirty money that you worked so hard to make are screwed. If you just flat out use this dirty money to fund your lavish lifestyle, eventually, not necessarily right away, but eventually, you'll catch the attention of those pesky government agencies like the FBI, IRS, DEA, and many others. But new problems are a good thing. It shows that you've been taking a fair amount of action. But if you don't continue taking massive action, you're probably gonna end up in prison for up to a few decades with some hefty fines. We need a way to clean that money, to disguise the nefarious origins of how we earned it so that we can spend it on real estate, legitimate businesses, and of course, to fund the lavish lifestyle that you rightfully deserve. We need to learn the game of one of the biggest industries in the world. We need to learn how to be laundrymen. Money laundering is the lifeblood to our profession of organized crime. Without it, there's no point to committing our crimes in the first place if the money we get isn't usable. And back in the good old days, cleaning the money you got from your criminal enterprise was pretty easy. Since banks get suspicious and have to report large sums of cash that get deposited, you just sent out a bunch of runners, also known as SMURFs. Once the SMURFs collected the day's cash from their contacts, they'd work their territory just like door-to-door salesmen, going to different banks in their area and depositing small sums of cash. But not just any area will do. Too small of a town would mean that there wouldn't be too many banks or customers and the tellers would be able to remember faces. Too big of a city and there would be long lines, making the SMURFs a lot less efficient. So affluent suburbs ended up being just the right balance for laundering. And with this simple system alone, if each SMURF deposited just $200 into 20 accounts each, which is very reasonable to do in one day, a mere 10 SMURFs could allow you to launder $40,000 in dirty cash every single day. That's $200,000 a week or $10.4 million per year without raising any eyebrows. But today it's different. Law enforcement have realized just how vital money laundering is to us and have severely cracked down on it. They're a lot stricter with banks. They've made it so any business dealing in cash has to report transactions over $10,000, and they use algorithms to catch on to suspicious transactions, among other things. And although they've barely made a dent in the money laundering world, it does raise the stakes if you get caught, with the punishment being up to 35 years or more in prison and fines up to 3 times the amount laundered. And just like any other business or industry, as the landscape evolves, so do the tactics. But the fundamentals on how to launder money are still the same. Number one, we obviously want people to not know where the money came from, so we have to conceal the ownership and the source of the money. Number two, we want to change the money's form. If you have $3 million in $20 bills to wash, you don't want to end up with the same $3 million in $20 bills. You want to consolidate that $3 million into, say, $100 bills. This reduces the bulk and helps conceal the origin of it at the same time. Number three, money laundering doesn't work if a nosy detective can just follow the trail of money right back to you, so we have to obscure the trail. And lastly, number four, dealing with tons of cash requires a ton of manpower, and the more the manpower, the more opportunities for people to skim off of your cash. And since you can't just call the police or sue someone if they stole dirty money from you, you have to have complete control over the process and the people. So now that you know the fundamentals of laundering, let's get into the actual wash. Before we can make dirty money look as if it came from a clean source, we have to get the dirty money into the banking system in the first place. Since we're at the beginning of the money trail, this is where we're most vulnerable. And when you're dealing with a lot of cash, one of the most popular ways to go about doing this is by using legitimate businesses as fronts for your laundering. It's probably why a lot of hole-in-the-wall restaurants in drug trafficking areas like South Florida or New York only accept cash. The goal with fronts is for legitimate customers to walk in and out of the front door while dirty money sneaks in from the back. Buy a restaurant, bar, a retail store, or any other business that deals a lot in cash and carefully inject a little extra cash into the business's books every single day. If you do this gradually, it will be next to impossible to spot an extra $500 coming in daily for a restaurant that caters to hundreds of customers a day. That's $182,500 a year of dirty money that all of a sudden looks like it came from your legitimate business. People also wouldn't raise any eyebrows if you eventually scaled up to, let's say, 10 restaurants that all happen to have $500 added to it every single day. At that scale, that's $1.8 million every single year in safe, clean money going into your pocket. Now, before you get too excited, this is usually the part where laundrymen get into trouble. They'll think to themselves, oh, if I just sneak in $600 a day instead of $500, I'll get an extra $36,500 each year from each front. Then that $600 a day turns into $1,000 a day, and then $10,000 a day, and then you try to get your local banker in on the scheme, and then prison.
Large sums to companies like Southern Air Transport. It raises the Fed's antenna. It looks like one big money laundering machine. And that's not what you want. That's no bueno. Smaller sums with more frequent deposits through my companies fly right under the radar of the Feds. You know why? Because all of my companies are legitimate.
Greed is what will attract the wrong attention. Greed is what will get you killed in this game. So don't get greedy, keep it gradual, and let's move on to step number 2 of the wash. After dirty money is brought into the financial system, it's time to hose off all that blood with some heavy soaping. This is where all of our work has been leading up to, making our illegal money look like it came from a legal source. And the way we do this is by sending the dirty money through as many accounts as possible. In our restaurant example, this is as simple as jacking up the receipts of what customers paid so that the dirty money is hidden into the customer's transactions to make it look like it came from them. If you need to launder lots of money, it gets a little bit more complicated, but all it really entails is setting up a bunch of dummy companies around the world in areas where the economy is stable and they don't enforce money laundering as heavily. This is as simple as literally Googling shell companies for sale. Make sure your name isn't on any of them, of course. Send fake invoices from one of your companies to the account your dirty money is in. Wire that money to that particular shell company, and then repeat this process of sending money around the world to as many different accounts as you please. Since you chose areas where banks have a lot more secrecy and don't have to disclose as much about their clients, a meddling detective trying to follow the money back to you will be out of luck. And once you've successfully obscured the trail leading back to you, it's time for the fun part. And just like that, by loading dirty money into the financial system and hosing out all of that blood by sending the money through a series of hard-to-follow transactions, we've concealed the illegal origin of it, we've changed the money's form, we've obscured the trail leading back to us, and all the while maintaining complete control over the entire process. And now it's time for the moment you've been waiting for, withdrawing that newly washed money from your accounts back into circulation as sweet, taxable, and most importantly, legal income that you can spend on whatever your heart desires. And if you did your job right, those vultures and law enforcement won't be able to do anything about it, even if they're suspicious, simply because they can't trace the money back to you. Now, as your fiduciary, I am compelled to give you this warning. Since this is an underground illegal business, laundrymen aren't too keen on sharing their tips and secrets with the public. So everything we went over in this video is based on what law enforcement has found. Or in other words, it's based solely on the people who've already been caught. So if you have the hopes of being a successful laundryman, you better innovate and not just copy what everyone else has done, or else you'll end up with the same fate, prison and fines. Society is also gradually getting more and more cashless, and although cash won't be going anywhere for a while, cryptocurrencies have already taken over the criminal world by storm. And although they're not anonymous 100% of the time, it sure does make the job of an aspiring laundryman a lot easier, with the law enforcement world still struggling to catch up. But whatever direction the world of currency goes, the basics of laundering will always stay the same, making illegal money look legal. Welcome to the Watch to the End Club. If you're watching this right now, you guys are my most loyal supporters, and if you are new to this channel, I make video essays like this every single week on the most provocative stuff in the world of business. So if you enjoyed this one, well, you're probably gonna enjoy the future ones. So click that red subscribe button below and turn on the notification bell because it's free and you can dislike and unsub and leave me your best hate comments whenever you want. If you want to support this channel financially, being that you're probably stuck at home right now for obvious reasons, you might as well take advantage of all that extra time by checking out a course I made on how to land a remote job and work from home. That is how I got my start with this whole make money online thing with a $40 per hour web dev job, and I think it's the most practical path out there. Plus, with a remote job, you'll be fine in situations like this, and you get to support this channel financially at the same time. There's a very big, very temporary sale going on right now, and I will link it in the video description. That is all the shameless plugs I have for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I mean that from my heart. You've been awesome. I've been Jake. I'll see you guys in the next one.